second round of the playoffs begin after surprising and shocking results in the first wild card round. John, let's start with what's going to be, I call, home run derby. Phillies, Atlanta. Holy cow. Who are you going to pitch around in the Phillies batting order? They got Schwarber, and they got Harper, and they got Castellanos, and they got Bohm, and they got Rio Malto, and they got Trey Turner. Atlanta, 307 home runs this season with the real superstar, Ron Acuna, 40-70 guy. And they got Mike Harris, and they got Austin Riley, and they got Matt Olson, who had 54 home runs. They got Marcelo Zuna, lousy batting average, but 40 bombs. And these ball games are going to be played in hitters' parks in Atlanta and the Citizens Bank ballpark, box yard in Philadelphia. Oh, Philadelphia, Atlanta, what do you think?
Well, last year, didn't Philadelphia knock off Atlanta? But to me, the Braves are just too loaded here. And even though that lineup is terrific, I mean, which is Schwarber even hitting 200? I don't even think he is. I'm all in on the Atlanta Braves.
Texas, Baltimore over in the American League. Rangers, lots of experience. Orioles, lots of kids. What a job Chris Young, the general manager, and Bruce Bochy with the 3 World Series rings have done in terms of game day roster and then in terms of game day execution. It's a really young Baltimore team. I mean, it's been a remarkable job that Mike Elias has done fixing everything that has plagued Oriole ownership and leadership for maybe a decade. But they're really young, and this is the first time to the party. And you got Texas with guys like Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. They got guys who've been to the playoffs before. They've got some veteran pitching, especially if they get Max Scherzer back. What do you think, Texas, Baltimore?
Yeah, I love seeing Bruce Bochy having success. That's great. But the Baltimore Orioles story is just so special. You know, the way they've just taken over the AL East, a great division. So I'm kind of have mixed feelings here. I kind of want to root for the kids, but I want to see Boch have success. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I think Texas will be favored in this.
Twins, Astros. This is a bit of a surprise. Carlos Correa made a huge play on defense in game 1, big hit in game 2. He's playing with a chronic foot injury. Minnesota has kind of spent their pitching in the wild card round. I just don't know. They have enough arms. And they're going against Altuve, who's fought through injuries, and Yordan Alvarez, and Bregman, and Kyle Tucker, and all that Houston game day big-time baseball experience. I think the Twins got through the first round. Don't think they survive. Astros are on a mission to regain their credibility, even though they're a pretty disliked team, although most of the players from the cheating Astros are gone. Thoughts?
Yeah, the Twins finally won a game in the playoffs after 20 years. So, you know, the Twins are a fun story to kind of root for them, but the Astros are just so loaded. But I hate the Astros, the cheaters. I want them to lose and lose badly. So I'm all in on the Twins, but if I'm in Vegas, I'm betting on the Astros.
Okay, briefly, let's just talk about wild card week. Tampa Bay was 13-0 out of the gate. At one point, they were 20-3. And then their pitching staff got hit by injuries, and they stopped hitting, and they lost their shortstop, Wander Franco, who was under investigation for sexual misconduct with minors. All that hit them the second half of the season. And they get killed. They score 1 run in 18 innings in that playoff series. And even worse, lowest attendance in a baseball playoff game since the Black Sox-Reds scandal in 1919. Think about that. And they're trying to get this new stadium built in Tampa, and have had a good franchise, and they're the 2 lowest crowds in baseball postseason playoff history since 1919. That's awful. Blue Jays, you know, they were streaky. And at the end of this season, in the wild card week, they were streaky. They left 18 guys on base in 2 games, and they wound up losing in the wild card series. Boy, that's going to be a bitter pill to swallow in Toronto. In Milwaukee, they had a really good year under Craig Counsell. Brandon Woodruff hurt his shoulder in his final throwing session before the wild card started. He could not pitch. Then Corbin Burns, the number 2 guy in the rotation, went in, and he got lit up. He got rocked, and Milwaukee is done. And not only has Milwaukee lost its president, David Stearns has gone to the New York Mets, as president of baseball ops. Effective today, Craig Counsell, their manager, is a free agent, and they've yet to offer him a new contract. So Milwaukee's done. And Miami, they've been building towards this, just not ready for the big stage at this point in time. Miami gets swept out pretty quickly in their playoff series, losing one of the cornerstones of the rotation, Sandy Alcantara, really hurt them along the way too. Did not happen at the end of the season, nor in postseason play. So we had a couple of upsets along the way, wild card, but that's got to be gut wrenching. You win 99 games with a club like Tampa did, and you're out the week the wild card playoffs begin. Oh, bitter pill, John.
Yeah, it didn't. All four of these series were, 2 games and done. It was 2 in barbecue for these guys. We both thought the Blue Jays were just stacked and they were going to really light it up, and nothing happened, man. That was just bizarre. But I go back to Tampa, and we talked extensively in a previous podcast about that stadium. I mean, does Tampa really deserve a new stadium, or should they be a franchise that needs to move to one of the expansion cities?
How could you be as good as they've been the last 4 or 5 years and have virtually negligible fan support and still think you're going to build a shiny new stadium and people don't come support it? That Suncoast area, it's really, really strange. One other baseball note before we move on and get to our halftime presentation. Let's talk about the